Okay, now to the fun stuff. So I am so proud of myself because I'm like really pissing the devil off. It is literally 12:35 midnight, and I said I'm getting my videos out. You should have just let me post my one little video yesterday. But anyway, let's talk about some fun stuff. I want to talk about vows. So vows are so powerful to me. So I want to give you some advice about writing a vow. So I recently wrote some vows out to God. I was very a little nervous about doing it because I've written vows in the past. So what I always tell people, well, one, before I start talking your head off, not that many people in the Bible have written vows. Or have given God vows. Some of my favorites were Jacob, Hannah, and Jonah. So when I was just doing some research on like who are the people in the Bible who did vows with God, I was actually, Jonah's one of my favorite Bible characters. So I didn't realize that Jonah actually did a vow. So I want to talk to you about everybody's not on the same faith vibe. Everybody's not on the same or has the same spiritual stamina. Sometimes in life comes, you haven't really been vibing with God. Life just happens and you need God to move on some situations, and like you haven't really been working on your faith like that, because faith is a muscle. You got to be bold to do it, but you still need God to come through, and you need him to come through with kind of like a guarantee. I always tell people, write a vow to God. Write a vow. If you are facing things, the impossibilities of life, and you need God to move, it could be law. You could have laws against you. You could have health issues. You could have financial issues, and you need God to move now. You don't have the stamina to go on a fast. You don't have the discipline to do it. I want you to listen to this video. Write a vow. So let me tell you something about vows. Vows work perfect for those who need God to move immediately when you're not in a position to develop a prayer strategy with God. So say the doctors only give you 3 weeks to live, and the diagnosis that they gave you would probably take you 18 months to build your faith in. We don't have 18 months. I need God to move on this now. You need something strong. If you're looking for something strong that can stick in the realms of the spirit, because you always want God to be able to fight for you in the realms, write a vow. So one of the cute things about a vow, when you vow to God, God automatically gets involved, period. There's no type of, some vows have contingencies. Some vows may be backed by certain scriptures. What I always tell people, when you come to the Lord with a vow, you're coming to God and you're writing him a contract. And what you want to do is you want to say, God, if you do this, I'll do that. When you come to God about your vow, whatever the exchange is that you're doing with God, you want to make sure that the sacrifice and the exchange is pleasing to God. Sometimes you want to go into contract with God with something that hurts to give, a seed that may be difficult to plant. So let me tell you my little vow story, child. I used to be super dramatic and I only knew 2 scriptures. So I used to be a super transactional Christian. So when I first started my business and my career, I used to say, Lord, if you move on this, I'll do that. If you do this, I'll pay my mom's car payment. If you do this, Lord, I'll do that. I used to make these deals with God, and he would back them every time. And I used to always do my part of the deal. So I started doing this, not even knowing I was doing vows. The only thing about a vow, when you write these, don't write no vow until after you listen to this video, child. When you write a vow, you can't break them. So when you need God to intervene and move, wherever you made that promise to God, you cannot break vows. God is not going to allow you to break them. The only thing you can do if you write a vow, and let's just say, so I've written vows and stuff like that. Let's just say you vow to God, like, hey, I'm riding with you in this. And if God changes his mind about that situation, you still can't break it. What God does is he'll replace the vow. But for an old contract to be inactive with God, a vow, you have to replace it with something stronger. So for instance, let's just say, hey, Lord, this was one of my vows for real, for real. I promise you, so I told the Lord, I promise you I'm going to do everything you want me to do pertaining to this particular ministry in this city I don't like. But I promise you, if you move on my health, if you give me a satisfactory report, if you move on this, Lord, I promise I'll do this. And I sealed it. I backed it with my health. What happens when the Lord changes his mind and you already have something active vow? So what you do is, what the Lord would do, he'll replace it with something stronger. So as you write your vows, there are some things I can't quit on because I already made the vow. I used to wonder, I'm like, why the Lord won't let me just quit real estate? Like, why won't this leave me alone? Why are people still calling me about this? I don't have no beef with real estate. I just don't want to do it like that. I was like, why I can't quit this? God reminded me of the vow I wrote. I didn't even realize I did it. So whatever you put in your vow, just make sure that this is pleasing to God. Lord, is this a sacrifice? Is this a true sacrifice, Lord? Is this enough for you? And write your vows. Jonah wrote his vow when he was in the belly of the whale. He said, he sung his praises. He said, if you get me out of this, I will stay. They don't tell you what vows he wrote, but he say, I will commit to all of my vows. When Jonah did that, he was pushed out of the well. Hannah made a vow to God. If you give me a child, I will give this child right back to you. Another thing about the Lord too, just speaking of vows, you can cop a plea with the Lord too. I always tell people, like, if you haven't really been talking to the Lord and you in some mess, cop a plea. God is merciful. Jesus stand in the courts of heaven. Jesus is right there pleading your case and interceding for you. Cop a plea. Come clean with the Lord. So vows and pleas are different. Vow is a promise. Lord, if you get me out of this, I'm going to do this. A plea is like, Lord, you know I ain't righteous. You know I got myself in this. Child, I need you to get me out of this immediately. You can get mercy from God. Come clean. Just come clean. You busted. Lord, please. I know I shouldn't have done this, but I need you to come through for me anyway. That's one of the things I like about the Lord. You can actually cut a deal with God. So I listen to a lot of Catholic priests. So Bathsheba, this is what some of scholars believe. They believe Bathsheba cut a deal with God. Bathsheba lost a child because David technically stole her from another person. Bathsheba really had no choice in it because David had higher ranking. So in those days, you can't deny a king. So she was like a casualty. I lost a child because of what David did. I had no choice in this. Scholars believe and priests believe that she cut a deal with God because God gave them a new child and God gave that child the king status. He wasn't even in line for succession. They believe that Bathsheba was able to cut a deal with God because of that, because she already lost a son. That's what people don't understand. Like, you can actually go before God. You can actually cut a deal. You can be like, Lord, I sown this. This didn't work out right. So this is what I would like to do. I'm going to cut a deal. Put God in remembrance of stuff. But let me get back to my vows because y'all be all over the place. Write a contract to God. Those things that are stubborn in your life, write a contract. One of the benefits of writing a contract with God is that no matter what is thrown your way, you're going to have a confidence and boldness like, child, I'm under contract with God. Ain't nothing going to happen to me today. I'm not leaving here premature. God already assured me this contract is sealed in the realms of the heaven. When you do a vow, you are legally binding all of heaven and God to ensure that this is honored. The cute thing about God, when the Lord gave me the revelation last year that vows can't be broken and they can only be replaced with something stronger, I ain't mentioned a vow since. God has been tugging on me all week. He said, Jamie, I want to cut a deal with you. Now, this time God came to me. I was just like, I'm going to just do this by faith. I'm going to do my declarations. God said, Jamie, there's some things I want to get involved in, and we need something stronger so I can fight for you in the realms of the spirit. Because you do know when prayers are released, the devils attack your prayers. So God was like, I want you to go in contract with me. Now I'm thinking to myself, you, my Lord and Savior, I don't know if I really want to go into contract right now. But God just kept tugging on me. He kept tugging on me. And I wrote some contracts. Well, what God instructed, he said, don't do one long contract like you normally do. He said, I want you to make individual contracts on certain things. He said, there are certain things I want to do, and I want to tap in on it now. And I personally believe God will put you in a position of desperation for you to go into contract with him. He immediately moved on Jonah when he was in a well. Hannah was at her desperation point with not having it. She had people mocking her because she couldn't have children or a child. I believe sometimes God will orchestrate that because he wants to get involved in certain things. So God came to me. He's been coming to me all week about something in particular. And the thing that's hilarious, I've been coming to God about some stuff I need him to move on. I'm like, what is going on? And he wanted to go in contract with me. So it was so cute about the Lord. I said, okay, I'm going to do these contracts. So then I looked at my old I have a prayer journal that I've been writing in since 2021 because I would write stuff down and forget where I place it at. I was looking at my old vows. And I said, you know what? This time I'm going to back it by this scripture. This time I'm going to do this. I said, let me know what? I'm going to type this. I'm going to get a seal. I'm going to make this like a contract. I'm going to do this. I was just going away at this vow. The Lord came to me. He said, Jamie, I'm ready to move on this. Do not make this technical. I want you to write me a contract. Why are you so psycho? Like, don't make this technical. The Lord said, old Jamie just used to jump. Old Jamie used to write vows on the back of a McDonald's receipt. Why are you trying to be so deep? You typing this out and putting a seal on it does not give it more stronger legality than an oral agreement. I said, talk your talk, Lord. So I did the vows. God said, there's some things I want to tap in with you now. There's some things I want you to breathe on. There's some things I want to breathe on you now. And God was telling me, he said, the reason why I want to get on this now, he said, because I want you to remember that it's not your skills. It's not because who you are on why this is opening up for you. I want you to have a remembrance that this is me. I said, okay, Lord, because one of the things too, as you're vibing through your life and God is vibing with you, he's talking to you, you get your prayers answered. The devil is right there to try to convince you it was happenstance. It was because you worked extra. It's your work ethic. It's because you pray. It's because you fast. Sometimes the devil will be with you where you make the process to God your idol and not God. And that's what God was telling me. So I wrote these contracts out, and I want you to write some contracts. Think about it. Write some stuff today. You know, I used to write these long contracts. I individualized them. I have a contract out on my organs. I have a contract out on my kids, my future kids. I have a contract out on their pediatrician. Let's not wait until these things occur. Let's go ahead and craft it in the realms of the spirit now. You know, like I said, there's a holy beast that's on the inside of me that is emerging. We're not going to be waiting until things happen. We're going to go ahead and partner with God and craft out the stuff he wants to move on. I got contracts on organs. I got contracts on my teeth. I got contracts on my kids, contracts on my church, contracts on my team members. Let's go ahead and go under contract with God. And when you go under contract with God, it seals it. There's no devil in hell that can stop it. He can try to challenge it, but there's nothing he can do to dismantle that contract. Sometimes you need something stronger than sacrifice, sowing. You need God to you need something strong. You want to be legally, you're going to create a contract that's legally bound by heaven. That this is what God is doing. This is sealed. And I'm telling you, when you do a vow with God, he moves on it. And he moves on it immediately because you're inviting him into your world with a contract, a promise. And just remember, you can't break them. And remember, no matter what happens to you, how far off you think you are, what you're involved in, you can always cop a plea with the Lord. The Lord is merciful. He has long suffering, and he's slow to anger. People say God's judgment, that's what you get. You did that. God ain't with you. God. Baby, you want God's judgment because you can cop a plea. You can get mercy in the courts of heaven. Okay? So write out your contracts. Write them out. If you don't have time to write them out, just speak them out. God, I'm going in contract with you tonight. If you move on this, I'm going to do that. Will that work for you, Lord? Does this deal works for you? And you know what I think was so cute about the Lord? He used my real estate terminology when I started to write these contracts. I didn't even know I was doing vows. I was writing out these contracts, and my mom said, well, you know that's a vow. You can't break no vow, child. She's like, I don't fool with no vows. I'm like, what? So put God under contract. Put him under contract. Just say, Lord, let's make a deal. I'm not going to have a transactional relationship with you, but when it pertains to this certain thing that needs to be birthed on this side of the realms, this is going to be under a transaction, and it's going to be backed by heaven. Put God under contract and put him to the test, and then tell me your testimony, because a lot of y'all be doing this stuff, and I got to find out on Facebook. Tell me your testimony, child. Read the story of Hannah and how she did a vow. Read the story of Jonah, and read the portion of Jacob on how Jacob did a vow, because Jacob wanted to ensure his safety. It works. And the thing I love about it, no devil can come and try to play in your mind that it was happenstance. It's God that put it together. And don't overcomplicate it. Don't overthink it. Don't be technical. This is the fun part of faith, putting your faith together. But put God to the test. Write out the contract. If you're in a hospital and you can't speak, God's going to hover over your thoughts. Start writing with your mind the contract. Take your mind out of the I have a sauce, and I know that I always go to the hospital. It's like a fresh wound for me. I have such a soft spot for that people in the hospital, because people really don't understand how you are tormented in that hospital. You're not in your surroundings. You're not with your family. You're not with your friends. It's the devil's right there to say you dying. Like, you have to have supernatural strength from God to get out the hospital. But start taking your mind out the hospital. Take your mind off your pain. Write the contract. If you have children and the parent is not there, you have to carry the load by yourself for this moment in time. Write out how this is not going to affect your kids. That your kids are not going to be subject to the circumstances of what happened to them. They're not going to walk around with inadequacy. Get God involved now. You know, I'm on this lioness vibe. A minister who I follow, she did such a breakdown on the lioness, on how the lion took her cub and like crafted the lion nature into her cub. Take on the spirit of the lioness and the lion. Craft out the life that you want and the life that God wants for you. And if God don't accept your deal, it could be because it's too small, but you'll be surprised. God will accept it just to show you who he is. God is always looking for opportunities to show you, I'm right here. Tap me in. It's something I want to do. And I wasn't really ignoring the Lord, but I just wanted to be super deep and holy. I was like, well, let me wait till I get home. I want to listen to my Hillsong soundtrack. I want to kind of clean up. I want my thought. He said, girl, if you don't write that contract, I'm ready to move on this. Don't make it simple. Don't make it difficult. God is simple. Write the contract. Do it now. Vows, you'll see laws change. You'll see your health change. You'll see your children change. Write out the contract. Seal it with God and watch him move. But this is my last video for the week. I hope it's not all over the place. I'm doing these in support of the ministry that me and God are building, Teeny Church. I said that I was going to go back to my vlogging era because YouTube has actually been the place that God has used for me to meet so many amazing people. I get so many people messaging me, emailing me from all over the world about their health reports. how God moved for them, how God, so many people who follow me have gotten married. They already have their own ministries that they're working. So I think it's super duper cute. But I'm going to do this just to continue to spread awareness and to speak into the vision that God has for Teeny Church. But anyway, write out the contract. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be on the back of your hand. Write it out. Tap God in. Tap him in. You're talking and dealing with a winner. Write a deal. Cut a deal. And cut a deal for people that you don't know. I actually copped a plea for somebody. I was just like, Lord, how are we going to do this? I've been praying for this person. I'm like, not on my watch. I don't care. We got to find a way to, And me and the Lord came to an agreement. I copped a plea on his behalf. I said, Lord, this is how you can do it. When you vibing with God and God, you see stuff that happen in the real world day to day, I go to the throne and cop a plea. I'm like, Lord, he can't go out like that. This is what I need you to do. And the Lord be like, Jamie, I can't do that. Well, what can you do? How about we do this? It's actually kind of fun. You become like a little negotiator for God. But anyway, y'all be cute. I will see y'all next week.